Friends and colleagues, it is an honor to welcome you to the Goodman South Campus, newly opened, as Paul mentioned, in fall 2019. Tonight, you'll have an opportunity to hear from and engage with some of the leading voices around the work of lifting South Madison. In addition to hearing from them, you're going to have an opportunity at the end to get in some questions. So on your chairs, somewhere around you, there's this question card. It might look like that, might look like this. Nidra, Bobo Boyles here in the front, if you'd stand, Nidra, please. Will be collecting those from us, and because we are going to try to be true to our time schedule, she will also be our timekeeper. Okay? So with that, let's go ahead and begin our session. And what I'd like to do to begin our session is I'd like to start with the elevator speech. 2 minutes from each of you on the project that you're working on, including an update, if you would, on your fundraising. I'm going to start, first of all, with Karen on the end, and then Ruben, Vanessa, Reverend G, and then Jessica. You all ready? Thank you. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you. Do I need to repeat all that? Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. So this building is really going to be the home for the work that we do. We see roughly 7,000 new individuals every year. Our community is deserving. It's time for this to happen, and it's time for us to have a space where we can do everything that we've been doing for 40 years. So that's what I would say.
Karen. Karen, where are you on your fundraising?
Yeah, so we're across the $12 million mark. Incredibly grateful for everybody's support. We have a community kickoff event. I will mention the back parking lot of our current building, September 28th, 4 to 6. We were out canvassing the neighborhood today. Come out, celebrate, create joy on the south side, and make it known that this is an important part of the city. So,
well, good evening, everybody. It's truly an honor to be on this august group of speakers, just a brilliant group of leaders. And so I'm very thankful that the Cap Times and that Madison College is sponsoring this event tonight to give us an opportunity to showcase our projects. So I'm Ruben Anthony with the Urban League of Greater Madison, and I want to talk to you some about the Black Business Hub. For us, the Black Business Hub is a part of many programs that we do at the Urban League, but you talk about an economic development center, one that will address underrepresented businesses. One of the things that has happened is that businesses in this area, particularly African American businesses and Latino businesses, have been underserved. Our building is going to be there to help these businesses find their way at multiple stages of their business development cycle. The building will be an 80,000 square foot building. 45,000 square feet of that building will be for hub businesses, and we're going to leverage that with nonprofits and private companies and support services to support those businesses in the hub. So the hub won't just be a beautiful building, it'll also be an entity to help these businesses grow. So we have an accelerator program where we'll give these businesses access to capital. Many of these businesses don't have the banking relationships. We saw with PPPs that only 5% of African American businesses were able to get loans. We got to change that dynamic. Through our accelerator program and our partnerships with Generator, the Together We Build Fund, Jan O'Neill and her family, gave us funds to get things going right away. So we're going to be giving out loans and grants. Thus far, we've given out five $50,000 grants because this work has to start now. Can't wait until the building gets built. We're doing trainings right now where I'm getting the hook because I'm taking too long. Put that white card down. But anyway, I told I was colorblind. But anyway, so our building is going to be a 26 million dollar building. We've raised 20.5 million right now, so we got about $5.5 to $6 million to go. Grant opening will be spring 2023.
Thank you. All right, Vanessa.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa Mcdowell. I am the CEO of YWCA Madison. I want to correct one thing. I am the first Black woman to lead this organization in 109 years. Not the first woman. Okay. So our mission is to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. We have two locations, our downtown location, which most people know about on the square, but we also in 2017 moved over here on Park Street, and we are right next to El Pastor, the restaurant. And one of the things that's hugely important to me is to have Black and brown ownership within our buildings. So I'm a little different in the sense that we have a building already, but we're renting. So what my project is my dream is to get us to own the building and have Lino, who I love at El Pastor, own his restaurant, which he's never done, and have us own our part of the building as well. So having owned Black and brown ownership in that parcel in South Madison. We are sort of in the phase of trying to, we got a blessing, I'll say, from Mackenzie Scott, which will allow us to be able to help with the purchase. But we are also doing some fundraising to make that happen in totality.
Reverend G.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex G, and it's really great to be here tonight. I consider myself a lifelong South Madisonian, and I'm really proud to be a part of this team of folks that are doing great things in our community. The project that I'm leading is called the Center for Black Excellence in Culture, and we're taking the approach that that we have left out the importance of our culture, our history, and our legacy as Black people, and propelling us toward our greatness. I was always a mediocre student in this community. And when I took my first Afro-Am class at UW-Madison from Professor Nellie McKay, I can still remember the course numbers, 267 and 268. I learned about my history and all of the tremendous things that Black people have done, that the Black church has done, and that we had a greater history than slavery. At that moment in her course, and in that room in humanities, I became a scholar. I couldn't read enough. I couldn't write enough. I couldn't study enough. And so after running a nonprofit for the past 30 years, this fall Nehemiah is celebrating his 30th anniversary, I thought we have offered enough social services through our programs. We need to create something that allows us to build on the strength of our culture. Culture is the lifeblood of our society, of a people and a group. And like blood, culture carries the DNA and the nutrients from one individual to the next. And when you mix blood, you become related, you become family. And when we mix and talk about the culture of Black people from Africa, the Caribbean, those who identify as Afro-Latino and African-American Blacks, we tell a great story of how we have influenced this state, this region, this nation, and the world. And so we believe that culture uplifts a people and that leadership drives that success and innovation sustains that success. And when all of this happens, this is what excellence is. And so our center is promoting Black excellence and culture so that we lift our children and our families in looking forward by understanding our great legacy behind. We have, with inflation, I'm sure Dr. Anthony understands this, and Karen's stuff is getting crazy with how numbers are shifting, but we have raised $23 million towards our $40 million goal.
All right, and then Jessica.
So I'm the new kid in the block. So I'm that new kid in the block. I've been around for about 6 years here in Madison, living here about 5, and the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce started in this area, right within the help and within Centro Hispano. And so I can say to you that as the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce, formerly the Latino Chamber of Dane County, our message is about equity, economic equity. How do we create pipelines to wealth? Not about just sustainability and talking about divestment. We don't want to talk about divestment. We want to figure out how to create pipelines for Latino-owned businesses, for diverse communities, immigrant communities that are so important to us, our state and our workforce. And I think we forget about that. So, within the Latino Chamber of Commerce, we were able to, within the last 5 years, not only go from 180 members to go statewide and now be almost 700 members in, teaching Latino businesses what Latino membership-based organizations are, how joining together, creating unity, and building off of that unity could create more political clout, and also not only political clout, but how do we create pipelines to access to resources, money, everything else that comes along with new startups. And I'll tell you that we've created 586 new jobs. And that's just with giving people the opportunity to believe that they are part of the ecosystem, that they are part of this economy. And when you give people the confidence to believe that they're part of this economy, they do something that is miraculous. They believe it, they do it, they start investing, and they're investing in their communities. We have one of our business owners right here, Wenzi from Amigo Construction, that is now saying, Jessica, how can I pour in back into the community, and how can I use the Latino Chamber as a source of that? And, the same vice versa. We want to do that back with him. We want the new building that we're building that's called the Gateway, and we're not on the south end, we're in Fitchburg, but Fitchburg by Allied Drive is a needed area. It is a very needy area that we need to invest in. So what I'll end with is, I haven't raised as much as everybody here. I feel like this right now. We're up to 4 million in our capital campaign. We just announced our capital campaign on August 13th. So I know I have a lot to learn and a lot of support to ask from all of you. But I thank you for this opportunity to have a voice.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your exciting news. Best wishes as you race to the finish line, right, for your projects. They will certainly add, I think, to the specialness of South Madison, which has long been held special in the hearts and minds, especially of those who've had the good fortune to be raised in this area. Some of you on this panel have been raised in South Madison, and people who lived here in the past seem to me to be highly interdependent, right? They turned to each other when they were in need and to be each other's support. There were stores, there were dry cleaners, pharmacies, restaurants, community centers, churches, until there weren't, and as many. And families started moving out when they could. Other families started moving in, particularly our immigrants, as some of the panelists have referred to, because I think above and beyond, South Madison is still a place of opportunity, right? It still had that reputation that this is where you could come and get started. So after all this time, and for those of you who have seen the cycle of South Madison and all the changes that have occurred, why now? Why are you interested? What is your interest in continuing to shape the fabric of this area? And Reverend G, I'd like to start with you, please.
2 minutes.
Throw up here, just so you all
This
know.
this is a very interesting concept, because I feel that many of you are late to the party. As a South Madisonian, I remember going to my first dance that Miss May Mitchell threw on Bell Street. I had my first job delivering Madison newspapers. In fact, when Madison Newspapers was built, they built it on my tadpole pond where I used to catch frogs. As a little kid, I used to fish on Murphy's Creek. I bowled right at the Villager. So we have always known that South Madison was great. This isn't a new discovery for us. And so one of my tongue-in-cheek responses, and depending who you are, I might think it's flippant, I think funders really need to answer the question, why now? Because we've been banging the drum that South Madison is this great place. It was always multicultural. I grew up here when black and white families were growing up together. The white wealthy kids from Monona were coming here from Monona Way. Families came here to move into South Madison from Vietnam, from Cambodia in the mid-'70s. And we hung out and we laughed, and we went to high school together and college together. We got into each other's homes and families. So we've always known that South Place was the stuff. And so when people are coming now and wanting to see the beauty and the benefit of it, its proximity to the east and the west and the campus, we've always known that this was a beautiful, beautiful community. Gentrification has broken our hearts, and we've seen that people have not just chosen to move out, but they've been priced out of this community. And so I'm hoping that our project is helping to say to those who would gentrify that we will not forget who this community has served and those who have built it. And I'm proud to stand on the shoulders of those folks who believed in me and believed in folks like me, and who hopefully are looking down on the work that we're doing in South Madison and are proud that we have not forgotten what a beautiful community this is. So I don't think that I'm just now doing it. This has been important for me.
Similarly, I think for me, coming from just a different generation, not just saying, I'm just saying a little different. That, for me, it was really a place where I knew I would find my culture, my people. So take a kid that grew up on the west side and had to be bussed out to Middleton High School and Middleton School District, me being the only black kid in a lot of scenarios, right? My parents made it sure that I would find and be surrounded by people that look like me. So where did they bring me? To the South Side, right? So my church was over here. I was a South Side Raider cheerleader, right? It was, before it was the Boys and Girls Club, it was the center, right? So we all used to hang out, and that's where I found community. And so when we talk about, the brokenheartedness, that's what makes me want to change and do this, because I am brokenhearted by what I see with the gentrification happening, right? So in ways that I can, even outside of my role as CEO of YWCA Madison, I have a LLC that called Madison Roots, where I'm trying to buy property here so that it's one thing to have these wonderful projects going on, but if our people can't get to the projects because they don't live in the area anymore, what are we doing? So part of it is trying to do a both and approach, and knowing that we need all of these resources, need all of these things that we're bringing to the table to make sure that we can bring that community that we once experienced back. It troubles me to see these young people that have no connection to their culture, because where would you find it here? Where is it now? I can't answer that question because I don't know. Right? And so a lot of my friends have gone, they've left, but I felt a mission and a purpose to be able to stay here and do the work to see the community that I grew up be better.
Ruben?
Right. You asked the question, why now?
I did.
I asked the question, why not now? If we don't do it now, you're not going to be able to do it. Right now, I always use the example that the developers are the hare and the urban planners are the tortoise. And the developers are moving really fast, buying up this land, driving up prices, making the prices so high that people in this community, can't afford to be here. And so they come here, they build the condominiums, and they suck all of the wealth out of the community. And so why not now? Why can't we invest in the people in this community? Why can't we put resources in this community so that young people, young businesses have a chance to take part in wealth building? Intergenerational wealth is where it's at, and right now, gentrification is running rampant. And the same thing that happened on East Washington, African Americans and Latinos were on the sidelines looking in. This is the only place that many of us can call home. So why would we not do it now? Why would we stand on the sideline and look in, and rather than trying to engage in the economics and try to create, opportunities for businesses and people over here? If we don't do it now, we're not going to have the opportunity because the land is going to get bought up. Thank goodness the city is buying land now, and they're holding some land and giving brown and black developers the opportunity to play in this space. As this space changes, we need to help craft a vision, for how this place needs to change. And by all of us having our different projects that serve different needs, arts, economic development, family life center, and culture, we're able to help craft a vision to transform South Madison. So I'll stop there.
Jessica?
I'll say because the families, they really need it. Because the families who live in the area, because when you go and you drive up to the McDonald's and you see the faces that are in those businesses, and you go to Doña Mari, who's at the store, right by El Pastor, and you see her face, that she is someone that you should do it. You should do it for all those businesses and all those families that are going to Centro, that are going to Urban League, that are going to church and saying, hey, I need more faith because, I don't know what to do. And wealth development, is part of, the whole gentrification is because we can't buy, we are not affording, we have these situations in our life that create, hardship, heartache, right? And so these organizations right now are doing the best they can to invest back into our community, to give people hope, to create pipelines of wealth and economic, mobility. And, I believe that the people of this community deserve it. I do believe the people of this community really do deserve it, and I believe that it's all of up to all of us. Although, again, I'm near Ally Drive. I want to make these leaders right here my partners, because I want to pipeline people that need opportunities to come to South Madison and say, you know what, I found a home, I found a job, and I found a way to, upscale my business through these organizations. So thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And Karen. Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica, and everybody. I think everything that has been said kind of says it all. This question really hurts a little bit, and it has hurt because we've had to answer it a couple of different ways. And I would love for this question to be turned on the audience. Why now? Mm-hmm. Why is everybody here tonight? Maybe take a moment to reflect on that. And what are you willing to do to ensure that these projects are successful? Because we all have a strategy about feeding into each other, like Jessica mentioned. Each of us is essential. The immigrant community, which is the community that we're so intentionally focused on, has been invisible for so long, but it's the fastest demographic in the state. So why now? I always wonder, since I moved here, why there's such a delay. If I didn't work at Centro, I have to tell you, I would not stay living in Wisconsin. So think about that, what these entities are going to do and what we need from you to engage with us to make the change. Now, I grew up in neighborhoods very much like the South Side in Los Angeles. I always did not like how outsiders came into my neighborhood and told us how to do things because they never understood community. And I always told myself that when I'm able to do that, we're going to be a space where our community has that voice. I urge you that if you want to engage, and I hope you do, that you reflect on how you can do that in an authentic way, in a meaningful way, how you can pitch in, because each of our projects is going to be transformational to the vision of this community, and how we can ensure that all these dreams that have been here are going to be a reality for years to come. So think about that why now question, and maybe we can talk about it at a follow-up later on. Mm-hmm.
Karen, thank you. That really gives me a really nice segue into this next question, because as of late, this good fortune that's on South Madison is slowly but surely working its way outward, moving forward, raising the level of visibility and importance of the area, fueling the health and the vibrancy of our own area, metro area, right? And not too long ago, several of us on this panel were in this same room celebrating the sizable financial investment that was announced by our state's administration. This follows investments and commitments from federal, local, and county governments and other entities as well. And as critical as your services and contributions are to the local community, to your point, Karen, why do you think the state has an interest in your success, and how does that translate to the success of the people who live here now? And I'd like to start with Ruben.
Yeah. So anybody that knows these statistics would be embarrassed. So of the businesses with more than one employee, there's 10,000. There's 10,000 in Dane County, and only 0.4%, or 39 or 40 of them, are African American businesses. So the investment is needed. There's been a tremendous amount of underinvestment here for years. It's important though, because our situation is going to be a regional economic model. It won't just serve South Madison, but it's going to serve this whole region. Businesses that develop in the Black Business Hub, they're going to go out of the Black Business Hub. They're going to go to Sun Prairie. They're going to go to Verona. They're going to go to all parts of the state. Zach Brandon from the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce says that this is the missing piece in the region. We don't have anything like this. When we build this Black Business Hub, there will be no other entity in the state to have as many economic development forces in one building as we'll have. We'll have the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation there. We'll have WIBIC there. We'll have Summit there. We'll have the Black Chamber there. And the list goes on. There'll be no other situation like this in the whole state. That's why it's important to the governor. That's why it's important to the county executive and the mayor. This is going to be a regional entity that will give and keep on giving for multiple generations. Our kids and our grandkids and all of the folks here in South Madison and beyond will benefit from the Black Business Hub for many generations to come.
Thank you. Karen, if you would pass the mic to Karen. Dr. Anthony.
Why does the state care? To be a little bit honest, I think there's so many changes in the state and so many things are being transformed, demographics. We see this with the school districts, we see this with the city, the county. There's just so many changes. And I think all of these entities that are here are needed, truthfully, to create that vision that is really going to uplift the community. I think we're at a point where government is seeing that more and more. I welcome the city council members that are here because they represent the change within government. And I'm really excited about what can happen when that takes place. Now, that's not reflected in many of the systems in this community, school districts, statewide, other places. And so to be honest, I think we're needed to bring in that voice so that we can actually make authentic change. I don't take that responsibility lightly. We do that work at Centro because it's important for our community, and we know that all these systems have to catch up. So that means that we're at the table explaining basic questions. What is a Latino? And what are the immigrant countries that are here? For many of our programs, we don't even get counted. So I know much of the data that's in Dane County is inadequate and inaccurate to reflect the needs of our community. So what do? We find the data for ourselves. The Latinx Consortium for Action, which includes a number of different Latinx-led organizations, including the Latino Chamber, has been creating this repository of data and actions to activate our community. Government partners need that information because they're still asking, what is a Latino and why do we need this now? So there's a change in that narrative.
Reverend G.
We are experiencing a statewide black brain drain. This country is experiencing the greatest number of black people moving from the north to the south because of our subtle racism in places like Wisconsin that makes this one of the worst places in the nation for black people to live. We keep saying it and people continue to shake their heads in disbelief that could actually be our reality. Earlier, I alluded to the fact that culture is the lifeblood of a society. If that is the case, then Madison is anemic, because it has been losing the blood of cultural folks, black and brown folks, whose stories can enrich the entire community. And it needs to. Vanessa and I serve on the Governor's Council for Diversity and Inclusion initiatives for around the state. And one of the things that the governor is really focusing on is cultural celebrations, because one, it brings commerce into our state, but it also says to people that you belong here. And right now, that's not the sentiment. So people are choosing to live in other places. I feel very fortunate that not only has the governor stepped up, but the mayor, the county executive, the governor, and then, as I mentioned, but also we've been able to receive an earmark for our center, thanks to Senator Baldwin and Representative Pocan, because racism is one of the issues that this country talks about or doesn't, but it's one of the things that's weakening us, and it's making us the laughing stock of the world community. And I think that we've got to get our arms around that, and we realize that if we don't take this seriously, we can't compete. And the last point that I want to say of why this is important to the state is the health and the wellness implications. We throw around words like social determinants of health, but what that really means is folks like me and Vanessa and Ruben and everyone on this panel will die sooner than our white counterparts only because of our ethnicity and because of the lack of cultural responsiveness to us. It should not cost us our lives to be black and brown and brilliant and strong and professional. That's just unfathomable, but that is the case here in this community. So I believe that the governor is looking at this because no one wants to come here and die. And black and brown people are languishing here in Wisconsin, and you don't have to do that in other places in this country. We need to act now.
Vanessa?
So I had to read this question again because it says, why do you think the state has an interest in your success? And for me, I'm not sure if the state has interest in my success. And I feel like it's premature right now. So one of the things that I think happened that we all experienced, which is hugely unfortunate, is a black man had to die and the world see it and the world respond in the way that the world has never responded before. And then all of a sudden now things are starting to happen, right? But that is the saddest thing I've ever seen. And so for me, I'm not sure if this is a moment or a movement. So for me, it's more of a question still. Yeah, there's some dollars coming into our community, which is great, but are the dollars going to keep coming into our communities? Are you going to keep funding us? Are you going to keep supporting the work that we're doing, or is this just a moment? So we have to think about the sustainability of all of these projects we have going on. What I would hate to hear is that any of these folks up here have had to close their doors because they didn't have continued support. So we have to figure out, is the state, do they have interest in our success? I hope the answer is yes, but I have to wait and see.
And Jessica.
This question kind of infuriates me because I see the pouring in of money, but I really am afraid of what's going to happen after that third year. We have funding that says we're going to give you 3 million, you 3 million, you 3 million. But then what happens after that third year? And what happens after we've already spent 30,000 just to qualify for these government programs and these DOA grants? Right now, our job at the chamber is half of it is to do technical assistance and support people with the sustainability and scalability as Latino-owned businesses, and the other was to qualify for this DOA funding, right? So what happens after the third year with a Latino population that's growing, the fastest growing minority group in the state that has the least investment? We are still a ignored community. We are not at the table. We are not talked to. We are not invited. And because of that, we're supposed to just sit there and say, thank you for the 3.4 million. I get it. We're happy that we got that investment because now we can build this building, build the gateway, create opportunities, create a beautiful, area that is culturally and both, an investment for that community that continues to be, poured out, who continues to be bleeding in resources and continues to be divested and impoverished, right? So right now, what I'm going to tell you is that I'm hoping that it's not just a momentary influx of cash that they're putting to these nonprofits, that this investment is long term, that ethnic leaders are continued to be celebrated and supported and promoted, and that we're not just there for the moment, like you said, or we're not, as Karen says, Latinos are in this peril where we're not being seen, and we cannot continue like that. Latinos don't feel like we're part of any group right now, and we are a part of every group because we look like everybody, right? So at this moment, I want to say that I hope that the whoever is the next governor and the next governor, that they will see that these community leaders are doing their best to create resources and opportunity with what they have, and they need more of it. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to give you a reminder. We've got one more question. If you would like to ask a question of the panel, either someone individually or all the panelists, please get your cards out. They're on your chair, and then Nidra here will go around and pick them up. One last question. You guys have been so awesome. So thank you so much for your time and for your honesty and for leading us through this session. Your proposals, they're big, they're bold, they're important ideas. How will you know that you've been successful in setting out in what you're doing? What does success look like to you? What does it look like for your supporters? And I think you spoke about this, Karen and Jessica, Vanessa. How do we help? How do we support you? And I'd like to start with Karen, and then Dr. Anthony, and Reverend G.
I think, Tina, this question kind of is a summary of everything we've been mentioning about what we need for success. That success is not in these individual projects getting finished and wonderful, that's it. It's about what we do after. And so us being strong organizations that are really important for the vision of the state, that's imperative. Let's get that done. And then let's continue to invest. Let's see that money flowing, and let's see partners at the table, and let's see collaboration and community being present to really transform the vision. So I am most excited about what happens next when we're able to have some breathing room, where we're able to have the stability that we need, and when we're able to really craft the vision for what comes next. Because I really think this is a turning point in this community where we're all aligning, and we've got to take advantage of that opportunity. So that's what success would look like to me, Tina. If I talk to our families, success would mean, having access to a driver's license, being counted in data, having teachers that understand our kids, having employers that understand how to retain a workforce, all those different pieces. And that will only happen if our organizations are strong and we're all at the table to make sure that we build on this together. So.
Dr. Anthony?
So I got to admit, I'm still stuck on Vanessa's analogy where she said, is it a moment or a movement? I think it's an opportunity, and I think that, we have to make the best of this opportunity. And I think that for us to be successful, we have to build sustainability into our development, into our programming. And that's what we're doing at the Hub. We're making sure that we have enough tenants to generate debt service if we have debt, at the end of this project, so that we won't have to go back to the governor and say, give me more money. And so I think that for us, we have to take not like a sociological perspective to how we design this, but a business perspective to how we design it. And so we're building that so that we have sustainability going forward. Some of the other factors of success is that we have widespread community support. Lots of you are out here tonight. When we broke ground, we had almost 400 people out there, and it was very cold. We've already started training people. We've had one cohort with generator of 24 people, 24 businesses in our G Alpha training. In our G Beta training this week, we've got 5 folks to come in. We've given out $50,000 grants, so we're already having some success. And so I just think that we have to look at how we build this from a business standpoint, right? And so we're nonprofits and things like that. But if we want these projects to be sustainable, we have to think about that now, not later. How do we build the financial stability moving forward? And I'll stop there.
That's a nice too. All right. This is a very interesting question, and I think it's multifaceted. For me, success will look like Black people feeling proud to live here in Madison, to feel as if there's a place we can go to celebrate our culture, to see ourselves expressed in a way that's not blackface, where we have designed it and it's not someone else's interpretation. I'm not so sure that I can count on ongoing programmatic dollars. I've been in this work for 30 years, and I remember being told by funders, we've given to, and they just insert a Black leader, so we can't fund you. And I don't think that my white counterparts are being told we've given to the South, we've given to the West Side, we've given to the East Side, so we can't give to you. So we are working at our Center of Innovation of creating a Center for Black community-based research. We want to hire a Black faculty member to run our Center of Research. We want to go after NSF dollars and NIH dollars. We want to study the things in our community that's important to Black people, so we create solutions, and we want to be able to use that information to create our own solutions that make us better and stronger and healthier. We're tired of the middle people who come and interview us and they don't even bring the data back to us, and then makes boatloads of money and won't even come back to our community and tell us what they've learned from our community. And so I'm developing strategies so that we don't have to come back and beg for programmatic dollars. We're looking at ways to create a think tank so Black people are creating these solutions. So we interface with NCAA, the NBA, the NFL, and we're actually negotiating these kinds of relationships right now with the Dean's Council and leaders at UW-Madison, because we want to be big players. We don't want to just ask for program dollars. We want to go after those same kinds of funds to sustain what it is that we're doing. And we just want, I think we're also successful when our Black youth are not embarrassed to be from Madison. Children who are born here, I feel like Vanessa's an anomaly, being born here and raised here, but still living here. Many of our children would rather do this in Detroit, or rather do this in Dallas, or do this in Atlanta. And when Madison is celebrated as being the best of again, we will know that we are successful when Black and brown people feel that that includes us as well. You know, when I go to grandma's house, I look for my pictures, my drawings. We want Black people, we want brown people to feel like our art, our culture is up on the walls too. And right now we don't see that in the community. When we see it, we know we're at home and we belong, and that will be success for us.
I'll say that as I look at the audience and I see some of our business owners here, I would say that success would be that they have their own bricks and mortar location that I can visit. El Gran Taco Gato, I'm looking at you, because that's your dream and that you have access to that. That's what I want. That our children are able to have bilingual education. That's a dream. That there's access to resources beyond, what you see here. That kids have, that they feel safe. I mean, I'm from Milwaukee. I come from the inner city. I was raised on 4th and National. And I'll tell you, it could be a hard place to grow up in. And gentrification happened there. And I wouldn't want it to happen here, because I really love Madison and I want to stay here for a very long time because my kids like it here, right? And so my whole goal for our families is that they can offer their kids a long, plan of wealth development, sustainability, joy in an area with people that look like them. And, Latinos, again, they feel divested. I'm just going to share this with you. Latinos feel divested. If you think that Latinos feel like they're part of Madison, we have had these discussions. And I know Karen is a little more, demure on these things. But Latinos feel that they're disenfranchised at every level. And the moment we start realizing that, this community is growing here and that we, have great companies that can build, I want the Latino Chamber's gateway to be built by Amigo Construction and to be an 80-20. How about that? 80 minority, 20 something else. And, that's my goal. That's my goal. But that's the future. The future, should be inclusive. It should be equitable. It should, where we're all working together and unified, and not the way it is right now.
Vanessa.
I would say success looks like unrestricted giving. One of the things I deal with at YWCA, obviously as a nonprofit, one of the things that is disheartening and is a struggle, especially for communities and leaders of color, is we have to jump through so many hoops. If we were able to get the philanthropic community to understand that we don't have time to jump through hoops, right? We're already doing enough, doing too much, overworked, right? So unrestricted giving, to me, equates trust. Trusting us as leaders and leaders of color to know what our communities need. Another success would be that we're not just surviving as communities of color, but we're actually thriving. We're actually building wealth. Do you know that wealth does not exist in the Black community at all? Like the whole passing down of like money from generation to generation doesn't happen, right? Because of numerous things in history. So one of my initiatives, when I'm committed to doing Madison Roots, I'm very clear. I don't actually get money from state, federal, things like that. I get money from co-conspirators. Folks who are beyond allies, who are actually rolling up their sleeves and having to sacrifice something, which is their dollars with no strings attached. No, you don't get a tax write-off. I'm telling you right now. But in my own way, it's a form of reparations that we're giving back to the Black community. So just a couple ways of what success looks like to me is trusting us as leaders of color to do this thing.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me on the mic? You can hear me on the mic? No? Hold on. This one? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. All right, so thank you so much. We've had a couple of questions come in. I know we're not going to get to all of them because I really want to honor our time here. Keep it to the time frame that we have. 3 of these questions, 1, 2, 3 of these questions have to do with collaboration. The 4th one does too. I don't know. Let's see. Have to do with collaboration, both among you as organizations, right? So what kind of collaborative work are you going to do? To both foster an environment for businesses. How do we help businesses, Black, brown businesses, thrive? How do we create that ecosystem for them? Also to address education. This person cited reading levels for Black students, proficiency for reading levels, Black and brown students, and in math. So how do we help to address those ongoing crises? And how can the community help? And then lastly, along the lines of collaboration, you guys can answer any of these, okay? How are we going to engage, and paraphrasing a little bit on this question, city, county officials to make more programmatic investments together? That doesn't rest on anyone's shoulders, but how do we do that collaboratively? And if you can answer to any of those.
Well, I'll say, first of all, it's critical that we collaborate and help each of us become successful because that's what it's going to take for the transformation to happen. The Urban League, us finishing up our project, and Alex G not finishing up his, won't give us the transformation that we need. Dr. Menendez finishing up her project and me not doing mine, won't give us the transformation that we need. For transformation to happen in South Madison, all of us have to get to the finish line. And so it's important that we continue to be advisors and available to each other. Of all of us, I think Alex and I may talk the most, we might be the farthest along, on our projects. He serves as an advisor to me. I serve as an advisor to him. But one of the things that we have to be clear about is that we all serve like different purposes, but collectively, we're going to transform this area. Alex is the overture, like the overture. My project is like the research part. And so all of those are going to add value to this collective that we are trying to make happen here. So we're all, are available to each other. And I think we have to continue to talk and be resources for one another.
I just want to bring a point, and take it how you will. We don't need to collaborate. And what I mean by that is there is so much pressure for us as people of color to have to come together and do one project. No, there is so much work to be done that fund all our projects. Don't make it and diminish our projects because you feel like we need to, we need to just all of a sudden be in one bucket and do the same thing. No, we're all doing things that are needed for all of our communities, but be careful by forcing collaboration when that's to make you comfortable. That's to make your job easier to say, well, which black organization am I giving to today? Give a piece to all of us, right? Which Latino organization am I giving to today? So I just want to make that point too, because I think so many times we are in spaces where it's exhausting to hear that because we're already doing a lot of work. And then now you want me to do something else to create a collaboration, to do this, to do that, when we're just simply saying, we know what we're doing. Trust us. I'm going to leave it.
No. Come on, let's give it up for her. That's true. Vanessa pulled down that mask and she said that. Usually I don't answer this question because I don't feel that my white counterparts are asked that question regularly. And we were on a panel a few weeks ago and we were rebuked for actually saying that. I think that it's important to understand this. I've watched Vanessa grow up. Her mother trained me when I was a recruiter on campus. Ruben and I socialize with our families. We know each other. Karen and I have had talks about my daughter and employment. The fact that we're here because we enjoy each other, that we've committed to this community, is proof that we love this community. But frankly, we're tired of being asked to dance. We're tired of being asked to choreograph a dance so that you don't pick the wrong black organization. You pick the wrong brown. I just think we have to understand even the question in itself is infuriating. Between our projects, we're raising close to $150 million, and we have to show how we're collaborating. Ask us that question if you're asking downtown that, if you're asking the East Capitol District that, if you're asking Middleton that. If you ask everybody, then ask us. But if you're not asking everybody, leave us alone with that question.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, it's exhausting. Yeah, it really is. And, I think for me, I don't know what collaboration means to everybody in the audience, but for me, being able to reflecting on everything that's been said and Ruben's point, Alex and Vanessa, is that to have a space where I can actually, when I'm here, I can honestly say that I can just be with these people. And I may not see them all the time or have documented, things that everybody may feel that we need to show to have collaboration. But walking into a room and seeing them means the world to me, and that makes me more successful at the work that I do at Centro. And I hope everybody here recognizes that the work that we do at Centro is important. And now in terms of the city, and I've had my conversations with city staff before, but a lot of the work that we do should not be out for bid. It should not be out for bid because it's essential work for the vision of the city. Bring us to the table. Let's create a strategy together. We all are doing good work. We're raising money. We have plans for how to keep this going. But what happens next? Bring us to the table so it's not a bidding thing. Our communities deserve more. And that's what I would love for these conversations when we're able to take the time to come together, to think, to ideate about, because that is what we all should be doing at the city, and we're missing opportunities when we're focusing on proving how we collaborate.
I'm going to say that we collaborate already. I think very quietly sometimes we just kind of, hey, can we do this together? And I'll tell you, when COVID happened and the chamber had no money, right? I looked over to her. I was like, Centro, I have about 200 businesses that are going to close and I need your help. And who came to my rescue? Centro Hispano, Karen, because Karen understood that these businesses did not have documentation, that they are running their businesses out of their homes, or they're running them, they're cleaning companies. And Karen came and said, you know what, we'll be your pass-through. Don't worry about it. We'll get money to your business owners. And the collaboration happens, and it happens very intentionally and very quietly sometimes because of the populations that we are serving. But it happens, and it doesn't have to be amplified and announced because it's happening, right? And the intentionality, when I need something, I'm like, I need a room at Urban League, right? What do you say, Jessica? You can have the room whenever you want. So, it happens. These intentional relationships are here. I'm on that governor's, GAC conference or GIC conference committee, and we talk about how we're going to invest back into the community. And I think we're all doing that. We're all collaborating, but we don't need to be looked at as you guys are all going to get together and we're going to give you just one pile of money and you figure it out. We need to be invested in individually by the merits of what we're all bringing to the table. And I think that's what, when I go to these meetings, I'm learning a lot because I'm the new kid and I don't know a lot about, the fundraising aspect of asking for these big dollars. But, they'll say, we've already given to these. There's 46 campaigns going on, and we've already given to 3 of these in this area. And it's heartbreaking because I know I do, and I know my colleague and the chamber does good work to empower families who want to start businesses to have a lifeline out of poverty, to create wealth pipelines for their families, to create generational wealth and really do it on their own merits. They're not asking for anybody. So the collaborations are happening, and again, I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to all of you, but thank you to my partners who are always there to just listen. I'm like, how do you raise that money? Dr. Anthony, and who pick up right? Who answer the phone? How about that? Who answer the phone and say, I'm there for you, Jessica. What do you need? So.
All right, with that, we are over time, about 5 minutes, so I would like to leave it there, and I want to thank our panelists, all of you, for attending tonight on behalf of Dr. Daniels, our president, our district board, our elders who are here. Thank you so much for being here, the Cap Times team. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you here tonight as part of the 2022 Idea Festival. I want to say festival, but it's fest. I know. I'll stop there. Anyway, so please, a round of applause for our panelists. They were fantastic. Thank you for being real. I want to thank you so very much for your vision, for your commitment, for your work, for your persistence, for not being afraid to call it for what it is, right? For bringing us to that line. I've got to tell you personally, myself, as being here at the campus, I very much look forward to walking alongside all of you in your projects and in what you're setting out to do. And somebody asked the question earlier, what can we do to help to move your project forward and be sustainable? I'm sure you'll be around for them for a few minutes if you want to talk to them directly, okay? Thank you again.
Great job.